My name is Gabriela Aponte. I am originally from Bogota, Colombia, and I am majoring in hospitality management. I use she, her, ella pronouns. I mean, it hasn't been anything too big because I think we're all Western country, like Western culture. But I mean, there are just a couple things like people here don't reverse park, and that is like so weird to me. I'm like, how do you not reverse park? So in first place, if you don't know how to reverse park, did you ever really learn how to drive? Like that's so weird. So weird to me. And like I've asked people, what are you gonna do when you travel to another country? And they're like, I'll just walk. I'm like, that's not an answer, right? That's not a solution. So the whole driving thing, honestly, because people, I'm sorry, and I don't mean this like directly because I haven't seen your driving, but people here in Iowa specifically drive awful. Iowa drivers are awful. And I think it comes from the part that, okay, so people here don't expect the worst. You just expect that, like, you're right, we'll be perfect and stuff. Meanwhile, in Colombia, when you're learning how to drive, they teach you to drive defensively. So that means always expect the worst from other people. So you're always wary. And when you come here and you see, like, people don't do that, I'm like, you're gonna kill us. Like, I got in this car and it is gonna be my last day. Because they don't think before they drive, and that's something that's so weird to me. Here, people don't help you unless you ask them to. If they see you in trouble, they still won't help you unless you go like, hey, can you help me out with this? And that's something I'm not used to, because back home, like, people will just offer help if they saw you. And I remember my first time here, I was with my mom. It was spring, right? So it was January. So cold. And we were just back from like Target and Walmart because we had bought all my stuff for my dorm, and we had such trouble like just going all the way to my room, and there were people around us and they were like, say hi, but they wouldn't stop and help us. I was like, people are so rude. Like, can you at least open the door for me? Like, you see I have like $10 with me, why don't you offer help? And I was like, damn, they're so rude. But actually they're not. It's just that they're not used to that. And I think also with the PDA, back home, we used to say hi with a kiss. So whenever I said, like, I would see someone, I would say hi, and I would hug them and kiss them on the cheek. And you can be friends, and you would still do that. And here, people absolutely don't do that. And I've seen it because this semester we have more Latino people. And I lost the costume because I've been here for almost 8 months, right? But I remember this one time we were having breakfast with a couple American friends and a couple like Latino friends, and then one of my new friends, she is from Bolivia. She comes to the table and she's like, "Oh, hi." And so she kisses us all in the cheek and then goes to her American friend, and he goes in to like give her his hand, and then she hugs him and kisses him on the cheek. No, oh my god, you should have seen his face. It was like, he was so scared. Honestly, he was so shocked. He had no idea what was going on. And I was like, yeah. That's how we say hi. So that lack of, like, physical touch is something it's hard to get used to. That is when you know, oh, yeah, I'm not in Colombia. I'm not home. I think, especially it's where I'm from, the first people will, like, one of the first things people will ask is, like, oh, so you know Pablo Escobar? And that's one of the things that's, like, I don't want to talk about this. Because, people usually, sometimes they joke and it's like, oh my god, did you bring drugs? Or something like that. And I'm like, no. Like, no, I came here to study. Or, when they go a little bit over the things that are like, oh my god, I didn't even notice your accent. Like, it's barely noticeable. And I know sometimes they don't mean it as something bad, but sometimes it comes off as really rude. They're like, oh my god, your English is so good. I didn't know you studied English in Colombia. And it's like, those kind of messages that are like, yeah, we do. It's like, no, we're not just a third world country. We actually have good education and stuff like that. Or people sometimes, when I show them pictures, they're surprised because they were expecting a jungle or stuff like that. And I'm like, where do you think I'm from? Like, I come from a civilized place. And it's just stuff like that. And for example, in the airports, they'll always look at you a little bit weird. And that's something that, well, you get used to. But it's it's just not comfortable, especially for example with my dad. Apparently there was like a terrorist or something that had his same birth date, so they would stop him. Like most of the times when we came here into the US, they would stop him and we would have to wait like 2 extra hours just to wait for him to get cleared and stuff. It was because of racial profile that they did on him. So it wasn't too bad, it wasn't too much of a big thing, but it's always an obstacle that's there. Well, I hadn't thought about it. I mean, you do learn to behave in an airport. Be sure you're not acting suspicious. Show them anything they're asking for. If they need to search you, just let them search you. Don't say anything. Have all your papers always at hand. Just sit a certain way. Maybe don't carry certain bags and stuff like that. And yeah, it just, I think it's something I'm already used to. I don't really think about it, but yeah, sometimes you just know when they're looking at you and when they're following you, and it's like, you can stop now.